The Dragon Age Veilguard situation is kind of crazy, with reviews seemingly having two opinions: Game of the Year material or just straight up rubbish. And sprinkle a bit of EA not dishing out codes to certain reviewers, we have ourselves another review situation that gets us all talking. The reviews are also a little bit worrying, and I say that because most of the positive ones are very similar, with the word inclusivity being mentioned a few times. From my point of view, gaming has always been inclusive and had a diverse set of characters to come along with it. It worries me because a game shouldn't be given a good review on the basis of how inclusive it is. A game should be fun, immersive, and something that distracts you from real world topics or issues, not seemingly be front and centre of that game. So first off, there was a few reviewers that were at the preview event not given codes because they seemingly spoke about some negatives inside the game, and claimed that EA ghosted them when it came to obtaining a review code, and also claims of the publisher EA cherry picking review outlets as well. I can and do believe this because publishers have come out in the past and said that Metacritic can affect certain aspects of their business, with public perception, shares and stocks, and ultimately sales being at the forefront. We've seen this with games like Redfall and Cyberpunk before, which were horror shows when they were released. This does lead to distrust amongst consumers, and rightfully so. I would also like to add that no one is entitled to a review code, and not all positive outlets were given one, while some, who were very negative, did get one. The argument could also be that this works both ways, but a negative review doesn't intend to draw money from gamers, where a possible inflated good review could be seen as dishonest to keep on the publisher's side and be slightly misleading in helping obtain more sales. I personally always align myself on the side of caution, which means I sit and wait for the users' reviews on Steam or other sites because they are the true metric I go by. Gamers will always say how it is no matter what. Now moving on to the reviews themselves, and you couldn't get any more black and white. IGN claim it's a 9 out of 10, and that doesn't surprise me at all, and one of my favourite reviewers, Skillup, gave a very resounding do not recommend. IGN always blows smoke up publishers' backsides anyway, so they can keep on getting their codes, and I never base my purchasing decisions on what they say. But what struck me in this review was this quote, and while I've been asked by devs to not spoil specifically who I'm talking about here, as a non-binary person myself, Veilguard includes some of the most authentic representation of coming to terms with gender stuff, and having to navigate your family's reaction to it I've seen yet in a game. It doesn't feel like an after-school special or like I'm being pandered to. It's quite well handled, and finding out that the writer for this character is non-binary themselves did not surprise me at all. Look, I have no problem with what people want to identify as, or what your pronouns are. More power to you, and I honestly hope you live a happy, fruitful life. But why is this even a discussion in a game? It does kind of feel like it is being thrown at us a little bit here. And in another review, inclusivity is mentioned again. Checkpoint Gaming feeling the need to also give a special shout out with this quote: "A special shout out needs to happen here, as Dragon Age has once again done an excellent job when it comes to inclusivity and diversity, sexuality and gender." Again, I won't go into too many details, as some of this stuff is truly stellar and best left unsaid, but as a simple example, playing as a male identifying protagonist, I was able to flirt with whomever I wanted. It didn't always go to plan, but I had options across the board if I wanted to be gay as fuck, in brackets, like in real life. I'm looking forward to experimenting more in future playthroughs, but in a real testament to the storytelling, I came to value my platonic relationships here just as much. The character creator is next level. It's kind of a function that people will spend hours and hours deep within, meticulously making their interpretation of the perfect fantastical hero. Then, some early narrative beats went even deeper and more personal, allowing queer gamers to really play as themselves, or who they see themselves as. That's all I'll say, but I can't wait to see the LGBTQIA community discover these well implemented, thoughtful additions. Dragon Age Inquisition has for a long time been repeatedly mentioned as a key moment in gaming history when it comes to representation, and Dragon Age the Veilguard is set to be another milestone. I am stoked for any young, uncertain folk who will be able to play a mainstream AAA RPG like this and feel seen. Snaps to you, BioWare. Like, why does it matter that you are gay in real life? That you do not need to add that. That adds no context to a gaming review. Look, I get this whole playing as yourself in a fantasy world, but gaming has always been inclusive. games have always been for everyone. The reviewer gave it an impressive 10 out of 10 though, with the only negative being combat being unwieldy at first. So we're going to run through a few more reviews very quickly here, and I've got these from Metacritic. Pure Xbox gave it a 90, stating, Dragon Age the Veilguard is a triumphant return to form from BioWare. This is a top-class action RPG that lives up to the Dragon Age name whilst laying rest to the ghosts of Mass Effect, Andromeda and Anthem. With a roster of amazing companies to recruit, a mind-bending world full of exquisite regions to explore. Then we've got Game Rant, who gave it a 100. Dragon Age the Veilguard certainly closes a chapter for Dragon Age as a whole, but one can't help but look more brightly at the future, one where BioWare has seemingly broke a curse it has been shackled with for years. Then PlayStation Universe give it a 95, stating, Dragon Age the Veilguard is a must-have RPG this holiday season. There is so much that Veilguard brings to the table that it's hard to find something to dislike. Veilguard is a complete package that gives you everything you could ever wish for in an action RPG, and is without a doubt a return to form for BioWare. Then we've got VG247. Dragon Age the Veilguard is full of heart and soul. It's also got some great ideas. Conversely, many of those ideas feel like they struggle to get out of first gear, and those that do find it harder still to make it to third. Sometimes the cleverest ideas are undermined by other systems or decisions, simultaneously feeling polished to within an inch of its life in places and utterly half-baked in others. It's as baffling as it is engaging, as frustrating as it is fascinating. So a lot of reviewers did love the world design, and I'll have to say it does look like a pretty game. The writing from the videos I've seen do leave a lot to be desired, but my full opinion will be reserved once I've played it. Now, combat is a bit of a sticking point though, with many stating it isn't fun, and that is in a lot of the good reviews as well, so maybe that would be something to look out for. And then we're going to move on to the ever popular Skillup and how he started his video, with a disclaimer saying, my opinions are my own and I'm just a nerd with a YouTube channel. And from there you knew that he knew it would be a very hot take. But to be fair, he showed a lot of receipts in his videos for this, of which I will link down in the description below. So he straight up criticised how the characters looked like something out of Pixar or DreamWorks, and said Dragon Age was a colossal disappointment. And when talking about the writing, he said it was terminal and every interaction between characters feels like HR is in the room, and he turned down the difficulty for combat so he could be finished with it sooner. You couldn't get a more damning indictment for a game than that. So apparently Dragon Age has been toned down a lot as well, with Skillup explaining you soon realise nothing bad is going to happen in the game at all. Matty Plays had a very similar opinion and did not like what he played, and he even said he didn't recognise it as the Dragon Age he knows. Again, not very high praise for the game there. I personally do think publishers and devs are trying to tread a fine line they are not sure of. You can't please everyone, and neither should you try. I like the look of Dragon Age personally, and I look forward to forming my own opinion, as that's all these are, opinions. But the dialogue does concern me slightly, because from what I've seen, it's almost like you are being treated like a child, and the game does seem to be void of any real consequences, like the previous two reviewers have said. I do hope Dragon Age turns out to be a fantastic game, and I'm looking forward to playing it and forming my own review. But guys, that is the end of the video. If you've enjoyed it, leave a like. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care.